is Market Moves.
And let's take a look at how the local market performed today. The S&P ASX 200 closed up 0.83% at 5,547 points. And to the performance of the different sectors, the information technology space saw the best gains, up 2%. Consumer discretionary is also up strongly with a gain of nearly 2%. It was a different story for the energy sector today, down 1%. Materials also weaker with a fall of 0.75%. 128 stocks rose today, while 57 fell and 15 held steady. Looking at the biggest movers in terms of index weight, Commonwealth Bank led the market higher, up 9 index points. Telstra also stronger with a rise of 4 index points. Woolworths, ANZ and NAB also making the list today. The biggest drag on the market by index weight, BHP Billiton fell 5.5 index points. Oil Search also weaker, down 1 index point. QBE Insurance Group, Santos and Newcrest Mining rounding out the bottom movers by index weight. And here to take us through what's moving markets and why, Michael Kodari from KOSEC. And you too can join in the conversation with a question or comment by emailing us at yourmoney@skynews.com.au or by using the hashtag MarketMoves on Twitter. Well, better late than never, Michael. So basically it was a positive day for the market. LNG shares best on ground today.
Yes. Look, it's been very interesting. I mean, the biggest news has definitely been the iron ore drops, and you've seen a lot of iron ore companies suffer. But LNG's done very well. Again, it comes down to, price takers. I was on the show last week, and now again, you want to pick businesses that are not price takers. They can set their own prices up. They have a quality management. They've got good financials. And it's very hard in the commodities market, especially, with our dollar being where it is. We're not as competitive as a lot of other countries out there. So our iron ore prices are suffering, and so are a lot of our companies that are related to iron ore, coal and energy.
Now, investors still seem to be concerned about the China story, with iron ore obviously tumbling overnight.
Yeah. Look, China's restructured its growth. A lot of Chinese provinces, their officials were rewarded or promoted upon keeping GDP figures up. So it's quite a high-performance way of governing. And they want to go from quantity to quality, and that would have a big effect upon the world itself. So if China decreases its GDP, it'll have a large effect upon our iron ore miners, coal, gas. So you've got to be very careful. You've got to watch the news that's coming out, and again, pick businesses in the right sectors.
And ResMed continues to surge following some good results that came out on Friday. What's your outlook for this company?
That's right. Look, ResMed has been one of our favourite companies. Last time I was on the show, I said ResMed, Cochlear are your top buys. ResMed is up, 6% today. And again, another 6% on Friday, on the back of an announcement that, one of its new products that they released caused their revenues to rise another 10%. So, it's all positive for our businesses that are marketing their product offshore to the US, and ResMed is another sign of a quality business. High return on equity, great cash flows, a good management team, and they've got a quality product.
Okay, well, let's take a look at some of the day's highs and lows. The market hit a high of 5,547 and a low of 5,497. Around 680 million stocks changed hands, worth around $4.4 billion. And in terms of stocks by volume traded, Fortescue Metals was the most traded stock today, with 39 million shares changing hands. ResMed also heavily traded with 33 million shares exchanged. Arium rounding up the top 3 stocks by volume traded. Now let's take a look at some of the top movers on percentage change on the All Ords today. Now let's check the top performers by percentage change on the ASX 200 today. The best performer on the market was LNG. It rose 16% today, finishing at $3. The second best performer was Mount Gibson Iron. It rose 9.5% today, finishing at 23 cents. And rounding up the top 3, Paladin Energy rose 9%, shares ending at 35 cents. Rounding out the top 8 performers today was ResMed, Ainsworth Game Technology, Cenex Energy, New Farm Limited and Transfield Services. So, Michael, a very good day for LNG, up almost 17%. What's prompted this?
Look, LNG, it's been a company that we've watched very carefully. In terms of financials, again, it's been a business we've looked at, but then it hasn't passed our valuation criteria. We haven't seen it as an undervalued stock. When it comes to evaluating a business, you want a business that has a high return on equity. A lot of businesses in that sector, they struggle to give you a high return on equity. But then again, they've been sold off. It's one that's done very well today. Do I see it going up and doing better? It might have a bit of an upswing, but for me, I'll still be sitting on the sidelines watching that stock. It's not a sector that I'll be investing in. Companies like ResMed, the healthcare sector, are the ones that I've been investing in. And, over the past 3 years on Sky, every stock that we've recommended, we've had a 100% strike rate because we were able to pick the sectors correctly.
Now, Mount Gibson Iron has had a good day. They're up almost 12%, which is interesting given Arium is in one of the bottom plays today. What's given, I guess, Mount Gibson the edge to be in the top performers today, given what's happening with the iron ore price?
Yeah, look, iron ore price, again, hitting 64. It was something I predicted a couple of months ago. Arium itself, it tried to diversify from steel into iron ore. They made an acquisition, which wasn't very successful. They sort of bought it at the peak, paying too much for it. They closed down one of their mines, which had a hit on the business itself. Iron ore prices where they are, it's very tough to be competitive. But then again, you see companies like Mount Gibson. These businesses long-term will suffer with the Chinese growth slowing down. So, they might have a bit of a spike up, but, I'll be very careful choosing these stocks.
Now, Paladin Energy also a good day, up 9%. What can we say about uranium and that commodity?
Uranium, Japan's sort of changed their viewpoints upon uranium. We saw what happened before a couple of years ago, had a big effect upon these stocks. It's a stock that's done well, but then again, in what sort of a time frame will uranium stocks come back in favour? So for the time being, uranium isn't something that I'll be investing in. I'll be looking at, again, companies that's reporting US dollars. So as the Australian dollar falls down, and companies that take advantage of the ageing population and offshore from US's growth. So those are the sort of businesses that I'll be concentrating on. And again, away from uranium, copper, zinc, coal, iron ore. So these businesses, price takers.
And let's talk a little bit about ResMed again. Up 7% today. Is now a time you should buy it, given that it's surged?
We've been buying this business for the past 6 months. It's gone up in excess of 50%. We're buying again. On Friday, then back up. We changed positions. We are heavily trading ResMed at this stage. It's done very well. Again, another top performer is Cochlear. Great products, a great business, great financials, a good management team. It's a product that can market and sell quite easily.
So after this short break, we'll take a look at some of the bottom movers of the day. Welcome back to the program now for a look at some of the bottom movers, starting with the All Ords. Now to the bottom performers on percentage change on the ASX 200 today. Lynas Corp had a shocker on the market, down 19%, shares closing at 5 cents. The second worst performer was Arium, down 9%, shares finishing at 18 cents. And rounding out the bottom three, Northern Star Resources lost 7%, shares closed at $1.93. And rounding out the bottom 8 performers today was Beetle Resources, Panost, Sundance Energy, Whitehaven Coal and Karoon Gas. Michael, not a good day for Lynas Corp, down 18%. Why were they hit so hard?
Look, Lynas Corp is being an interesting one. It's struggled politically for a long time. Again, it's about producing something. If you invest in a business, you want that business to make a product or deliver a service. Lynas Corp, it's in the toughest industry, being in commodities, rare earth metals, and there was a big hype about it, 5-6 years ago. A lot of investors are very much sold within the business of Lynas. But then again, you can't get emotionally attached to a stock. It was one that we looked at a long time ago. We never got into it because they weren't making any money, and there's no doubt in my mind what they've been hit again. So you've got to be very careful. There's no surprise that everything in that list is in the commodities energy sector.
Now, Arium had a really bad day as well. Obviously, they mothballed one of their mines last week. Is this just a follow-on from that, or do you think there's some real trouble going on within that company?
Look, it's very hard in the steel industry, especially being in Australia. It's very hard to be competitive. You've got labour costs. It's one of those things that businesses struggle a lot. Arium tried to diversify to get into iron ore. Again, they paid too much at the peak of the iron ore cycle, and now they're struggling. So, you've got companies like BHP, Rio Tinto. They invest heavily in iron ore. But, these businesses have put a lot of infrastructure in 20 years ago, 10 years ago, and now there's an oversupply of iron ore. And that's one of the biggest problems. So we've got an oversupply, and we've got China slowing down, and put the two together, it's affecting our market quite badly. So, anything to do with iron ore, I'm staying away from. Anything to do with coal, energy. Listen, you can find stocks that you can make a return from in a short period of time, but you're taking a lot of risk. Why take that risk? Invest in good businesses in the right sectors of the economy and get the most you can get for your money in the market. That's what I believe in.
So how do you feel about gold then? Northern Star Resources is down 8% today.
Yeah, look, gold is interesting. Again, a lot of this is through the talks that come out from the ECB, from the Eurozone with Greece. So if there's more uncertainty, you'll see gold prices go up. But then again, the way things are, US is doing very well. Look, I don't see much trouble within our markets. I don't see gold prices going so much up in the short term. I just think that, gold has done very well. A lot of these stocks in the gold sector, like Northern Star, have done very well because of that commodity. And you've got to be very careful. When things turn around, those sort of stocks will be the first one that will be hit quite hard.
Okay, well, let's look at some of the day's upgrades and downgrades thanks to FN Arena. Citi rates Arium as an upgrade to neutral from sell. Citi analysts have updated their modelling for the latest changes in commodity prices and FX forecasts, as well as the company's announced restructuring of its iron ore operations. The end result is an upgrade to neutral from sell with a new price target of 25 cents. Deutsche Bank rates Beetle Resources as a buy. Production was up 75% in the December quarter, with the difference expected to flow through to the higher sales in the March quarter. Despite the imminent completion of Duckhead, the broker expects 2015 will still be volatile because of a step up in total material movement and the potential reintroduction of Duckhead tonnage in the second half. And Credit Suisse rates the reject shop as an underperform. First half earnings are expected to be down 13 to 14%. The downgrade was driven by weaker trading conditions in the first quarter. Gross margins were stable. Credit Suisse expects a turnaround to take some time, particularly in the face of FX headwinds and a more competitive market. Michael, I guess we can probably start by talking about the reject shop first. Do you agree with that rating today?
Look, reject shop, it's expanded. It's opened up a lot of stores across Australia, and it gets to a point where it matures, and the margins aren't. Look, the return on equity of reject shop used to be about 70% about 5-6 years ago. Now, they've had a lot of problems. As you expand and grow the number of stores, your sort of margins come down. So reject shops had a lot of problems there. During a GFC, you see companies like Reject Shop do very well, as they're quite defensive in terms of the product they sell. But in this sort of environment, a company like Reject Shop wouldn't be a stock I'll be looking at. It's
and what about Beetle Resources? They've been upgraded to outperform.
Yeah, look, Beetle Resources, it's a relatively low-cost producer. It's quite consistent in its production, which is why they've been upgraded. But then again, it all depends on the gold price. So if the gold price goes down, Beetle Resources will get hit. So, you can't sort of control the way gold prices go.
Well, now we have time for a viewer email. Thomasine writes, what are your thoughts on JB Hi-Fi? I'm currently holding it at a small profit. Do I sell or hold on a little longer? What do you think, Michael?
Look, my answer to Thomas would be, does he go out and buy many CDs, or does he go and buy videos? I mean, JB Hi-Fi, these businesses do extremely well when consumers have a lot of confidence and businesses have confidence. So it all flows and it all correlates. At this stage, consumer confidence isn't very high, neither is business confidence. People aren't spending as much as they did, they're saving more. So, and as technology changes, less people buy CDs and videos. You'll see companies like JB Hi-Fi being hit quite heavily. At this stage, our dollar's quite low. So what does that mean? It means the cost of importing is much higher. So it's the margins reduce. So what would I do with a business like JB Hi-Fi? It will be something that I'll stay away from.
Okay. Well, that's all we have time for on this edition of Market Moves. A big thank you to our guest host, Michael Kodari from KOSEC. I'm Carolyn Herbert from the team here. Thanks for your company.
The information featured in this program is general in nature and therefore should not be relied upon. Guests appearing on the program may have commercial arrangements with some of the companies mentioned. Before making any investment, insurance or financial planning decisions, you should consult a licensed professional who can advise whether your decision is appropriate for you.